What does good taste mean to you?
Having a perspective. The bartenders I know are some of the smartest, most capable people I've ever met. Once I started bartending, it's really all I cared about. Left my job. My parents were absolutely thrilled. Network of like downright muses and mentors that I have is like, I'm so blessed. The full-size spirit bottles, I think I like blocked this memory out. So I'm like making 10 cocktails at once, and I'm also having to talk about the idea behind the cocktail, the ingredients I'm putting in, and engage with all the multiple judges in front of me. He grabbed me and he was like, relax, it's just cocktails. So it's all just kind of this like roller coaster.
Where we are right now.
We are in the weeds is where we are. This is Bar Bambi.
Bartending is a rhythm. It's part ritual, part rebellion, and few people embody that balance, such as Katie Renshaw.
Ooh.
From winning world-class U.S. Bartender of the Year, to running some of Chicago's busiest cocktail bars, and now to opening her very own Bambi, Katie's journey is truly sharing the heartbeat of modern bartending. She's been a competitor, she's been an educator, and now she's an owner. Katie Renshaw, welcome to All in Good Taste.
Thank you. That was quite the intro. I got a lot to live up to. Sheesh.
Well, I think it's really cool and impactful to share your background and where you've come and where you're going. And I kind of want to start with where we are right now.
Sure.
We're doing a hard hat tour.
Yeah.
We are literally in a bar under construction. Where are we, Katie?
We are in the weeds is where we are. We are sprinting towards our opening right now, but we are in my first bar, my first baby. This is Bar Bambi. Thank you very much. Don't say congratulations till we pass our inspection, so please just knock on something.
Knock on something.
No, I would say a long time coming. It's a long time coming in terms of like my career, and this has
For sure.
for a very long time been a goal of mine. But we really only got into this space in mid-July, so pretty quick turnaround, and things have gone smoothly so far.
There
Actually,
we go.
Pretty well. I think it's the universe telling me that the time is right and the place is right.
Well, I love
But
time is right, place is right. Cool. Let's roll it back a little bit. Let's kind of start. Where did you start bartending? What brought you into this world? Give me a little bit of your background.
So I actually have done have had several different careers, but I started bartending when I was actually working as a software developer. But I was in love with cocktails, restaurants, food, wine, cocktails, the whole 9 yards. Cocktails were really happening in Chicago at that time. It was like the era of like Scofflaw and Sable and like some of the Violet Hour, the like early aughts of cocktail renaissance time, and Chicago was really the place where it was all happening, and it was all very exciting, and I really wanted to be a part of it, but I kind of felt I had already like made my choice of another career, and I felt like it was almost too late. And I had some friends be like, this is what you love, you should do this, and kind of had a mentor take me under his wing, and once I started bartending, it's really all I cared about, so I left my job. My parents were absolutely thrilled.
Oh, I'm sure.
And,
But hey, now you're opening your own. So, I mean, that's full circle there.
It's definitely, I had so many big goals going into it that I thought these are long shots. And here I am at the biggest goal. So like opening the bar always felt like the pinnacle, and I'm almost there.
Almost there.
Yeah.
Well, what was the first moment in a hospitality setting that clicked for you and felt like you belong here in this space, in this industry?
I mean, I honestly think like at Money Gun when I first started, when Money Gun first opened, which was actually quite a long time ago.
Good old West Loop Money Gun.
Yeah. And Money Gun was just, it was so busy, so chaotic. Like it was also kind of a different time in bartending. I think everyone takes a lot better care of themselves now, but back then it was very much still a party.
Oh yeah.
I think just like
Shifties, all that.
Yeah, yes. But I think just like being in the shit with a group of people who are like just doing their best to provide a great time for guests, and like getting through that together, and the sense of community behind that really kind of clicked for me, and I already knew from the moment I started bartending that this is like what I'm meant to do, but that was like once I kind of like delved more into the community behind bartending, not only what the team we had at Money Gun, but like doing speed rack and things like that. The community aspect of the industry is the thing that's keeps my heart beating for working in this wild hospitality world.
Oh yeah, and for sure. You mentioned speed rack. What is speed rack? Just in general, like let's talk about speed rack and bartending competitions, because I know eventually your journey gets you there.
Yeah.
When did that start popping up for you? When did that start piquing your interest of maybe I should try bartending competitions?
Yeah, I actually I attended a speed rack before. For anyone who doesn't know, speed rack is an all women identifying speed bartending competition that's not only about speed but about quality of the drinks you produce, and it's like tournament style head to head on stage, and it's all to raise money for breast cancer research.
Really cool.
Yeah, so a very incredible cause, and also like the best part about doing speed rack is like it unites you with so many other women in the industry, and it's still like kind of a male dominated field, I think, even after all this time. And so being able to like unite with people who are like-minded is just an incredible network that you'll never replicate in any other like situation, I think.
Do you remember who won that competition? Do you remember back this first speed rack that you saw?
Oh, the one that I saw? Yeah, Marissa Huth.
Okay.
Marissa Huth, yeah. And she actually, Marissa was like bartending at one of the places I was staging when I was learning to bartend. So she was an early mentor. I will never, ever do this again because of something Marissa did. I did an absolute huge no-no. I dipped a glass in the ice.
Ooh, in the ice?
Well, to scoop ice. I have to say this was like my first or second stage ever.
Yeah.
So please forgive me. But she was like, what are you doing? And like,
which
definitely
also,
learned that real quick.
For relevance, why shouldn't we do that? Is it we don't want to break glass in the ice? What do you have to do if you break glass in the ice bin? What is that process? How far does it set you back?
You have to melt all of the ice, clean out the well so there's no little chips that could potentially get into people's drinks, and then get fresh ice into the well. So it's quite a process if something happens. So I learned that lesson real quick and early on. But yeah, Marissa won that first speed rack. But when I was at the first speed rack I attended, I was like, I want to do that. And so the next year I ended up competing because I had started bartending after that. And yeah.
That's great. What is the first cocktail that you made that really feels like it was yours? Obviously, I know like speed rack and the competition stuff, I'm pretty sure they give you a rough set of what you're supposed to be building. But like, how about for yourself? Like the first piece that you're like, wow, I just made this drink, and you really felt the ownership behind it, something that you were proud of from like the early years of bartending for yourself.
Oh gosh. I honestly, like, I remember putting drinks on the menu at Money Gun because we did like a rotating kind of like staff menu, even though it's all classics there. But I think the first drink I was like, wow, I have a drink on this bar's menu was at Green River.
Okay.
And it was Julia Momase's old bar, but she had moved on since, and Amit had taken over the program, and Amit was an amazing mentor to me as well in terms of like cocktail creation especially. I made it was like a Martinez variation that ended up going on the menu that I was really proud of, and just very like elegant, stirred. Like it's actually something that I made in speed rack.
Oh.
I forgot that I made it. I made it in my dealer's choice round, my final round, my first year in speed rack. I made it for Micah Melton. I remember this. And that drink ended up becoming the drink that went on the menu.
Is it going to make an appearance here at Bambi?
I don't think so. I tend to I'm like, I don't have like a signature. Like I move on from the drinks that I make to the next thing.
Yeah.
So,
hey,
yeah.
That's cool too. Always getting that fresh breath of creativity. And it was just like going forward. I mean, I think there's something to truly be said about that too.
Yeah.
For yourself, who in the bar world, it could be like a direct mentor who's actually taught or educated you, who has inspired you the most?
Oh, that's really hard. So many people. It's like I'm honestly like the network of like downright muses and mentors that I have is like I'm so blessed. I would say like some big ones, especially lately. Kay Gerwin has been like a huge mentor to me. She owns Happy Accidents in Albuquerque. And she just is always there if I have a question or I need like to be pumped up or I need to kind of like gut check something. And she's a boss. I mean, she works so hard. She takes such good care of her staff. I think that's like the thing that I look to the most for her and how she runs her business. It's just really, really admirable. Yeah. And that's something that like she's kind of been that example for me and is a very good friend as well. Alex Jump in Denver, also a good friend that I met through Speed Rack. She just opened her own bar out in Denver, Peach Crease Club, which is like super. I think they're gonna get all the nominations and awards. It looks so amazing. I can't wait to get out there and see it. It looks so beautiful. But she's just very like incredibly hardworking, dedicated, and also just a really good example of like taking care of yourself in the industry and like taking care of your health. I think is like she's been such a great mentor, I think, to many people in that aspect of like longevity in the industry.
Before we have this conversation, we did have a little bit of a pre-chat, and there was a quote that you gave me that kind of stuck with me that I kind of want to talk about.
Oh, I'm scared. I don't know what I said.
Early on in your career, you were told that you're a great drink maker, but not a great bartender. How did that moment change how you thought about guests and not just drinks?
You know, it's funny because the person who said that to me, I think they said it like they were trying to dig at me, you know? And I think they said it because they knew that that was the thing that would hurt me the most. Because ultimately, the thing I care about the most is being a great bartender and hospitalitarian, not being a great drink maker.
Yeah.
And I think the amount of time I've spent just like working on Bambi has really reflected that. I mean, the amount of time I've spent thinking about like how we're going to take care of our staff and how we are going to operate versus the drinks themselves. It's like the ratio is not like I've spent very little time on the drinks themselves at this point, and way more time on like how to run a business that's going to take care of people, not only the people we serve, but our staff.
For sure.
And so I feel like, I don't know, hearing that was just an affirmation is that my ultimate goal is not just to be a good drinks maker. So it was like, it's one of those things that like hurt me in the moment, but now I'm like, it's an indicator of what my priorities are.
Going from there, from your early career, I know we did briefly already touch on competition, specifically speed rack. I kind of want to start talking about world class a little bit now.
Sure.
I know you shared that you went to a speed rack competition and that's what drew you in there. What brought you to world class?
So I knew what world class was before I even started bartending. Okay. It is definitely the most challenging and multifaceted competition. It tests you in every area of bartending. And I already kind of knew it as like the Olympics of bartending, as a lot of people call it. I wanted to I think that doing things like aiming for awards or competitions or things like that, they're never like the ultimate goal. You know, it's like there's further goals beyond that. It's getting recognized for the thing that you love to do more than anything. It's not about the actual prize. The prize is more than that. But I think I wanted to be recognized that I'm great at this. Yeah. And I also wanted to push myself. Yeah. I wanted to push myself, and that's I wanted to know I could do it. Yeah. And ultimately ended up winning United States my second year, and it was one of the hardest things I ever done. It does not compare at all to opening a bar. But definitely at that time, one of the hardest things I had done.
Got you. What do you do to prepare for a competition like that? Because I know they do test you on a handful of different things. What are the categories? What do you do to prepare? How do you get yourself in the right headspace? Yeah,
so it's a lot of different things. I mean, I would say like the simplest aspect of preparation is preparing for the rounds where you're like fully like, you do everything in advance. So where it's like a drink you had created in advance. It's like slow serve, kind of like presentational style round. There's usually a couple of those where your drink is more about the story behind it. And so you get a lot of time to prepare and you know exactly what the prompt is going to be. I think the more challenging rounds to prepare for are like the dealer's choice type rounds. Like we had a round in the year that I won that was like you were given a food menu for like a hypothetical restaurant and you had to make their signature cocktail. Okay. And so you had like 30 minutes or something to come up with your cocktail with like a pantry of ingredients, and even like in globals we had like a kind of a more advanced version of that round where you had to come up with something on the fly. I think that requires just like kind of strategizing because it's just not a lot of time. So thinking like, am I going to go with like a riff on a classic automatically because I know that that's something that I can easily work within. Yeah. And just kind of like, what are some ingredients I can make really quickly with like a variety of different like pantry items or things like that. And just strategizing. Yeah. That's, it's just like an interesting thing to prepare for. And then the speed round is, I think, probably, it separates the men from the boys for lack of a better
lack of a better term, for sure.
Yeah. The speed round is very daunting. It's a lot of cocktails that have to be executed very well in like what seems like a long amount of time, but you're presenting while you're doing it. If you just do it silently, that's not really what we're about.
It's not drink making, it is bartending. You are actively having that relationship.
So I'm like making 10 cocktails at once, and I'm also having to talk about the idea behind the cocktail, the ingredients I'm putting in, and engage with all the multiple judges in front of me.
sure.
And so it's definitely like the hardest. I think it's the hardest round in world class.
And I know you do have a bit of a story from your first year
Yes.
doing it. I believe we were bleeding out. I don't know. That's not the right word.
Was not bleeding
Not
out.
bleeding out. Sorry.
I did.
That's the wrong word. That's the wrong word. But please.
Felt like it at the time, I
Okay.
think.
Yeah. Well, run me through that experience, that story, how you recovered, and then obviously next year you came back and won it. So
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, so I mean, in my first year of world class, I was like not quite ready for it. And I
Okay.
advanced to the national round from the regional round. I was surprised to advance, but I did end up advancing to the national round. In the national round, the speed round, it's usually 8 drinks, but it was 10 drinks this year for some
Okay.
reason. I had something like I had way overcommitted the round. Like I had done, there were like 7 or 8 touches. This is like a symptom of being a newer bartender. I had like 7 or 8 touches in every single cocktail.
Yeah, and then times
so
10, that's-
all of my ingredients were like all in the rails and then all across the bar because I didn't have enough room for
Yeah,
even all
for
my
sure.
bottles and ingredients.
you doing a bunch of little cheater bottles too, or
Yeah.
are you doing like?
There's the full-size spirit bottles.
Yeah.
There's cheater bottles. I think I like blocked this memory out. Started, and I was very nervous, and I quickly noticed that I had like a very small like surface cut on my finger that was bleeding. And I didn't want to stop because I didn't know what was going to happen if I stopped. So I was like making very sure to I had like a bar rag that was like on my person that I kept
Yeah.
like making sure I wasn't getting blood in the drink, but it was like on my like not. I was making sure I wasn't
Yes.
contaminating the
beverages
beverages.
for sure.
But I'm like going, and I keep doing it, and I'm just like trying to remain calm, but my words are completely lost. I'm like speaking gibberish basically because I'm
Yeah.
trying to keep presenting and trying to keep making drinks because there's no stopping. This round I had built for myself, there was no extra time.
Yeah.
So I was having to keep moving. And I like finally was like, okay, we're going to have to get a Band-Aid.
Yeah, we got to
So
take a pause.
I turned to my bar back and asked for it while I was like continuing to build because I was like, I'm never going to finish this round if I don't keep going. So they went and got one and they were like, okay, we're going to stop the timer and put it on you. And so they like stopped the timer, put it on me. I kept going. I was like, at that point, it was just like, I was mentally totally out of it. And like, I stumbled through the rest of the round. I got 10 drinks and 10 glasses.
Hey, that's
No ice or garnish in any of them.
well.
But finished the round. I'm like walking out of the room.
But you got through it, which I think there's some credit to that
Yeah,
too. You made it. You got the drinks and the glasses.
I did.
So
And I'm like getting my stuff out of the room and like I'm like on the verge of tears. And Chris Cardone, one of the judges who became a very good friend of mine after this, he like grabbed me and he was like, this is the hardest round. He was like, don't let anyone tell you otherwise. He was like,
Yeah.
it's okay. You'll come back. You'll be better. And he was right. And he was like a huge mentor to me going into the next year and like ended up winning.
So what did that feel like now a year later, coming back, taking it? What was that first moment? What was that pop? What was that?
It was one of the most exciting moments of my life. Definitely top 5 best moments of my life. It was very exciting. Like I said, I made all these big goals when I started, and that was one of them. I felt like I was where I was meant to be, and I was doing the thing I was meant to offer the world.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. I do have one other question on this. So if people are looking to get into bartending competitions,
Yeah.
what would, as a former champion, as a former winner and competitor, what would your recommendations be?
I think the biggest thing is to like be yourself in your rounds. I think people feel pressure to do things a certain way because they see other bartenders doing them a certain ways and then winning competitions by doing them that way. But I think that was the biggest thing I took away like from the first year into the second year is like tell your own story.
Okay.
And it also makes it a lot easier and it feels a lot more authentic and warm when you're presenting, when you're telling a story that's yours, because it's like if it's your own story, you're never going to mess it up. And I think also just in general, like use every like aspect of your creativity. I think people tend to limit themselves because they think of it as a like normal bartending environment where like you have to think about a lot of different aspects of service and not just the serve itself. But the fun thing about competitions is you're making a once in a lifetime serve.
Yeah.
You don't have to serve it every night in service. So take advantage of that fact and like use every creative element you want to bring into it that might feel impossible in service, because this is your moment to do it.
Yeah. Also, I know recently, or maybe not as recently, you switched to the other side. Actually, the first time I met you was when you were judging a cocktail competition.
Yeah.
So how does that feel now for yourself, being on the other side of things, getting to sit on the other side of the table and kind of learn? Is there anybody who's like stuck out to you, or what has been your experience now judging these sorts of competitions?
I like judging. I think like I get nervous because I've been on the other side. I get nervous for the competitors.
I'm sure you feel for the competitors too, to an extent. There,
I would say
right?
particularly judging speed rack. I've never judged on stage speed rack, but I've judged the preliminary round like I think 5 or 6 times at this point. And that's when everyone's the most nervous and you have to be the absolute fastest during prelims to make it onto the stage round.
Gotcha.
So I think like during that, I'm like, my heart's pounding. I'm like sweating for them. I'm like, because I know I feel like I'm right back in it. Yeah, it's almost worse. I think it's almost worse to be on the judging side. I was like, I feel every single person's stress, not just my own. So it's like, I don't know. I think in that aspect, I get a little stressed for everyone. I think the most exciting thing about judging is seeing like the next generation of talent and how excited they are. And I love to also see like a technique or a flavor that I've never seen before. And I can like, it inspires me too. So like in terms of technique or like styles, seeing all the new kids and what they're doing is always exciting.
Now we're going to start talking a little bit about service and actually being behind the bar on the everyday sort of night. You've worked in a lot of different bars. You've experienced a lot of different bar cultures. How do you read a room when you step into a bar? What is your internal compass saying? What are you feeling?
As a guest or like working?
Let's start with working.
Okay. I'm always anticipating. I'm always looking for the next thing I can help someone with, whether I can water that person across the room. So I tend to like scan a lot. And I think it's like weirdly one of my weaknesses as a bartender is I'm always like very focused. And so sometimes I feel like I need a little warmth. And that's like, so I try to like, you know, engage with my team, which usually helps me like loosen up a little bit just because I'm very like type A. Yeah. So I tend to be like I said, like very like anal and attentive and like, so I think it like sometimes makes me a little like come off a little militant. My biggest thing is like warming myself up, making sure the team is like feeling good and feeling like they have everything they need and also that they have support from everyone around them. That's usually like where I start. Then we'll take care of the guests better. Yeah,
and I think what you said there, though, too, I want to give you credit for it, because being serious or being strong or like militant even to those things, I feel like it can also bring a very calm, supportive energy to your team, right? Mm-hmm. So how do you deal with managing situations that are like high pressure? Like how do you recover? How do you get the team back in focus, back in line? You know, you're in the weeds, it's really going down. You have 30 tickets on your, just stacked up on the printer. I'm not trying to give you like flashbacks because I know I get nightmares too. But
that's like showbiz, you know? No, I mean, I think like one of my favorite pieces of bartending advice I ever got was from Dustin Drankowitz at Money Gun. It was like my first Friday night service, and I was like about to burst into tears. Like I was so busy, and I was just not used to it yet, and still getting my legs under me. And he like grabbed me and he was like, relax, it's just cocktails. And it's like, so I think whenever I get like stressed and high strung when it's getting really busy or we're in the weeds, like I just remind myself to like take a breath, and it's just cocktails and everyone's going to get their drinks and it's going to be okay. And if there is like a wait or something, that we can manage that situation when we come to it. And like that's, I think, getting everyone to take a breath. And then I also like something I would tell the team at Hawksmoor a lot when it was like anticipated being busy. We anticipated being really busy. I would tell them to like make every ticket as if there's 5 tickets behind it, even if there's not. Be like kind of just stay on top of it and always think like 5 steps ahead, because then the stress doesn't feel so stressful because you're ready for the next like kind of push or rush. And just like taking every moment, there's a pause to like restock and reset and take like both mental and physical breath.
What's something that guests don't realize that bartenders experience on the other side of the bar?
I think the level of multitasking that is going on in our brains is something that guests don't really like. You can't really know what's going on until you're actually in the situation. Like I think like any guest who's like never worked in hospitality, it's hard to know the actual mental exercise of working service, because it is like it's like a mental puzzle. Oh, I need to water this guest, but I also need to do this ticket, but I also need to run these drinks, but I also, and it's like stacking the tasks in the order of priority. You're constantly like rearranging your mental to-do list. Yeah. And so, and when it's like, when you're good, when you're on, it is like the best feeling. It's just like, you're like, everything's just singing and like that but it's so much mental exercise. And that's why I honestly think if you're like a lifer type bartender, you must stay sharp so long into your older age, just because of the mental acuity you have after years of doing it. Yeah.
What else is a common misconception that guests have about bartenders?
I think just how smart like people who work in the service industry are, because you have to deal with so many different types of situations, high pressure situations, difficult guests. Like you really have to deal with so many different high pressure and like challenging personal situations from day to day, that you're prepared for so many different avenues. Like I honestly think most bartenders could do a lot of other jobs extremely successfully, and I think that misconception that like bartending is like this is the only thing you're capable of, it's so insane to me, because like the bartenders I know are some of the smartest, most capable people I've ever met.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I can think of like some of the worst services that I've had to fight through. Is there a story, or is there one that just sticks out to you in your head? You're like, damn, that was fucking hard. Is there anything that pops to mind? If not, that's okay. But if there's one that you're just like, oh, I would really not like to relive that night.
Nothing that's that dramatic. Sure. I don't know. I mean, like, I think also all of these memories soften with time, you know, like the night of, I might have been like, wow, you know, actually, I take that back.
Okay.
There was one service like early in like when I was managing Edda.
Okay.
Like when Edda Bucktown like first opened.
Yes.
And it was very busy when we first opened, and we were having like a hell of a night, and I don't know what was going on, but I like had to restock our hibiscus syrup, and I like went back to the walk-in and I like pulled the hibiscus syrup off the shelf, and it was like a 24 it was the big boy.
Old quart.
And and my hand slipped and just like a bloodbath, literally, because it's hibiscus syrup all over the floor.
Oh, God.
And I was like, I think I just burst into tears. And my bar back came in. He was like, I got it. He was like,
you know,
and he
God
was
bless bar backs.
And he like,
God bless
he like cleaned it up while I just like cried it out a little bit. And like, and then I like jumped him and helped him as soon as I was like together.
Yeah.
But I was just like, that was one that I was like, oh, it's always like when it's crazy, like something happens, you're like, wow, of course,
like,
of course.
Right now, right now, we're going to deal with this too.
Yeah.
Now, slipping one more time back from some of the trickier things, when do you feel most in the flow behind the bar?
I think when everyone is really working together well. I have a bartender, Azul, who's actually going to be my head bartender here at Bambi. She's incredible, and like when she came on at Hawksmoor, she and I very much like are able to work together without speaking, really are always there supporting each other. And I think it's just because both of us have the mindset that nothing is not our job. The bar is our job. And so like we're always jumping in to help. So it never feels like there's something that's undone or something that's not paid attention to, because we're both very like on it. And I think when you're working with a team that has that mindset where everyone is kind of thinking, like I always say bartending is a team sport.
Yeah.
And when everyone's operating kind of under that mindset, it's just really, really easy.
What do you think the Chicago cocktail community does better than anybody else? I know, loaded question.
I think everyone would agree though that it's hospitality.
How do you see Chicago shaping the national cocktail scene these days?
I think right now Chicago was one of the more accessible places to open a bar, and while still being like a major market.
Yeah.
And I think we are really, like as a city, moving in the direction of more owner operators actually making it work. I mean, like I think I always kind of had the dream of opening a bar, but during COVID, I watched what all my owner friends went through.
For sure.
And it was, I kind of almost cooled on the dream of opening, because I was like, wow, if something like this ever happens again, I like, it's kind of an insurmountable situation. And, but then kind of once things opened back up and like time passed, like places like Truce and Lemon that are like opened by bartenders started to really like thrive. And, it definitely kind of like sparked the inspiration in me being like, I can do this too.
Kind of reflecting on some of these services that are a little bit trickier. On nights that you're drained, what gives you that spark back to get through it and keep pushing forward?
There are always like moments that will get you down. There are always hard days, but it all really balances out with the guests that really like you really resonate with, and the guests that really connect with the experience, and like that always like brings me back, and I always know that that's coming. Like there's so whenever something like tough happens, I always know that there's like going to be like a lovely guest coming in that's going to balance it all out. And so it's all just kind of this like roller coaster, beautiful roller coaster.
Beautiful roller coaster. Okay, well, I think we should kind of talk about the space and what you're building and where you're going and how this all came about. So when did ownership shift from a dream, an idea, to becoming a necessity and something that you really just jumped on and went for?
I think it honestly, it didn't quite feel real until we like raised more money and like found the space, because it's one of those things like you have concepts in your head, and I have many, so it's like it wasn't.
So this is like, one of many.
This is one of many. This is one of a few. Many might be a strong word, but yeah, this is it kind of all shifted as I started looking at spaces. You're never gonna find it's rare to find the exact space that's gonna fit your vision. So it kind of like, I looked at one space that was like going to be more of a daytime cafe, and then it was kind of shifting in my head. And so like, I think finding the space, and then you really like lock into what the concept, and the neighborhood, and like, then you really lock into what the concept is. And then it kind of started feeling real to me. What really motivated me to like start looking was I had this moment where I was like, if I'm going to be working in service every day, which is what I want to do, this is the way to make it. This is the only way to make it my own.
What is the biggest learning curve that you have seen from transitioning from a bartender to a bar owner? And I mean, we're in the building space still. So like, what is that biggest?
Being business minded. Because once you're opening a bar, it's a business. It's not this like it's this romantic thing in your head, of course. And it's like beautiful and exciting. And every single part of it is exciting in its own way. But the business side of it becomes like top of mind, and like the amount of time I've been able to spend on the cocktails is so minimal compared to like what I've spent on everything else in terms of the like operations of the business. So I think that's like one of the biggest surprises is you get so much less time than you think, and it almost feels like this daunting thing. But I think like the menu suddenly feels like a daunting thing. But the past like week, I've actually been able to like focus a little more on it, and it's kind of starting to like get me excited about the actual drinks again, because there's just so much else. There's just so much else to do, and especially as a sole operator, it's like it's a big to-do list.
I think
that
you
has
made
nothing
your
to do with cocktails.
first cocktail here, what, a day or two ago?
A few days
what cocktail
ago.
did you make?
We made a piña colada.
Okay.
Because the bar stations aren't functional yet, so we had to make. So I was like, let's blend something, and I had the ingredients for a piña colada because of something else I was working on. And
can I ask your specs on this piña
for
colada?
For a piña colada, sure.
On your piña colada, not just a piña colada, your piña colada, or your blender piña colada.
I think we did a blend of rums.
Okay.
And then 1.5 ounces Coco Lopez, 1.5 ounces pineapple juice, 1/2 ounce lime, pinch of salt, and then ice in a blender.
Hey.
Yeah.
Sounds good to me.
That's what I did. We kind of wung it.
Yeah. Hey, that works. That works. We've talked a little bit about how like the menu has kind of had to fall secondhand to like dealing with the city and dealing with all these sorts of things. How do you, for yourself, and maybe there isn't balance, but how do you balance the business versus the artistry?
A lot of it is artistry, and it might feel like sometimes a little mundane, but every single detail ultimately contributes to the overall experience. And that's, I think it's the little details that people might not even see that contribute to the whole so much. It's like way more than the sum of its parts. It's, you are like spending all this time choosing like plates, but like ultimately everything's going to look right together because I spent all that time. And like things like the music, where the speakers go, where the lights go, like things like that all like add to the like creative vision, even if they feel a little less like creative.
But it matters.
Even if it's not the cocktail in the glass, it does matter.
Absolutely.
And
And speaking about cocktails and glasses, I know you've been having a lot of fun shopping for some glassware.
Yes.
How has that been going for you?
Oh my
Because that's
God.
a huge undertaking. I mean, bringing in all the supplies for a bar.
Glasses and plates took up so much of my brain space for so long. I don't know. I'm a very like detail-oriented person, and like I was like crashing out. I think I looked at 200 glasses, and martini glass alone, I think I looked at like 30.
But I mean, a classic martini, it's an important piece of glassware.
Yeah, I love martinis, and so I think it's such an important thing to get right. And so I'm like so happy that I spent the time, but it was definitely like when you can't find the exact thing you're looking for, like it's like I want to just like create it, but that's not.
Sadly, that's not really how it works.
Or like realistic in terms of budget.
That is very, very fair.
For instance, there was a martini glass I really loved, and then I found out it was $30 a glass. That's not.
Yeah, no, that would.
Not in our budget.
I don't think that's in a lot of people's budgets. If we're being very honest on, I mean, just from breakage or I don't want to say theft, but I mean theft too. I mean, pretty glasses disappear.
Yeah. I'm like just having visions of.
Oh, absolutely. Well, how will Bambi reflect your idea of or your philosophy on hospitality?
It's interesting because people ask me a lot about the concept, and I wouldn't say it's like a high concept bar, but I think like every decision we've made has to do with like the whimsy and the fun behind cocktails, because I tend to have a very like almost like scientific on the back end, very like streamlined on the front end approach to my cocktails. So I use molecular techniques, but I tend to keep them all in prep, and like during service, everything's very kind of like elegant and sleek. I want to be able to kind of show that those like scientific techniques have a place that's not always going to feel so severe and like uptight.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I'm kind of trying to like bring the fun into like more molecular cocktails and creating it in a more like whimsical, easygoing environment. And I think that's like whimsy is really the concept. It's like everything that we've chosen is like so cute and particular, and like it's gonna all come together in a way that like I think everyone's gonna feel like the warmth and the love behind it. And I think that's my biggest goal. And like warmth is like when I was staffing too, in terms of like how we're planning to like take care of our team. I like when I was choosing like the bar team, that was like my biggest, like someone asked me what I'm looking for, and I said my biggest thing is warmth. I was like, I want to trust that you're going to take care of everyone around you, not just the guest, but your fellow teammate. And that's, I think, like, it doesn't have to be so hard to come to work if we're all working together. And the intention is to like show up with love and take care of each other.
What sort of guests are you hoping that this space is going to attract?
I definitely I'm a nerd. So like if you're a cocktail nerd, you're definitely going to enjoy it here, I think. But I think just like anyone looking to have like a nice time and feel taken care of, people who are like interested in maybe the more interesting techniques and approaches, but you don't have to be like that. That's like the thing. I think it's like, it's great for like groups and friends and dates, because it can be like one person who's very interested in all this stuff, but you can still have an amazing experience. Everything I do is like pretty classics adjacent. So like, I think any person could find a cocktail that they love here, even if they're not into like craft cocktail. You know, they're still gonna have like a nice time here. We're also gonna have like a great wine list as well, and like and the food is, we haven't even touched on the food. But
I know we haven't even talked about the food. We've only talked about the bar.
The food's so good. The food menu is probably farther along than the cocktail menu at this point, and it's gonna be just really nice time.
What do you want guests to take away when they leave here?
I think this is like every business owner wants this, but I feel like from my heart, I want this too. I want everyone to leave. I can't wait to come back. I can't wait to come back and see what I'm going to experience the next time. And like, we're going to have an ever rotating menu with cocktails, with everything. So you're always going to kind of have something new to experience. And like from a personal perspective, and like just from all the care I've put into like curating everything, I want people to leave and just kind of in this very relaxed way be like, that was perfect. Like just feel very,
that was
like
perfect.
Yeah, that was perfect.
Great. And then one last question on Bambi. What inspired the name?
Oh, okay. I'm going to tell you the real story because it's fun. It's fun and silly, and I guess we all have probably had this experience.
For sure.
But I went to college here in the city.
Okay.
And you can't tell because I'm sitting down, but I'm very tall. And I'm 5'10", so in heels, over 6 feet, easy.
Yes.
And, you know, once I turned 21, I was going out in the city, going out to the clubs, the clubs. Once I was wearing my tall heels and I had a couple too many drinks, I loses my ability to walk a little bit. And I'm very clumsy. And so my friends used to call me Bambi.
I love that.
And
I was from the opening scene where stumbling around.
Yes, learning to walk.
Yes.
But I told one of my friends this story, and he was like, you have to call the bar Bambi. And we were like in the midst of figuring out what the name was going to be. And it felt really right with what we were aiming for. And it's also kind of like, it has like a great double meaning. It's like getting your legs under you and like opening a bar, kind of like learning to walk for the first time. So.
That's great. No, I mean, I think the end of that's really, really cool too.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, now we're just on to our last segment. It's really quick. It's a set of 6 questions that we ask every single guest. And just try to get your opinion, your thoughts.
Okay, let's go.
So we lovingly call this our tasting menu. So we're going to go through a individual course.
What's the amuse-bouche?
Well, that's literally the first one. We're going to start with our amuse-bouche. Yes. What is the smallest gesture of hospitality that's had the largest impact on you?
This is something that I started doing at Hawksmoor that someone did to me, and I freaked out. I loved it so much. But when your martini is getting low, they replace it with a new frozen glass. Like they pour your martini into new cold glass. I was like, it's such a little thing, but I was like,
that's really cool.
I love stuff like that.
That's good. Hey, jumping to our appetizer, what dish, drink, or moment first made you fall in love with this industry?
Oh, easy. I went to one of my first, and I guess this probably ties back to my love of like molecular techniques. I went to Wiley Dufresne's restaurant in New York when I was like 17 years old, and it was my first ever tasting menu, and it absolutely blew my mind. I'm from the middle of nowhere, Central Florida. I never had food like that in my entire life, and had no idea food could be like that. And it was so fun. It was like very whimsical and fun as well. That's his whole style. And and super molecular as well.
That's great. Now for our entree, what's the hardest part of the work that guests never get to see?
Ooh, I think kind of what I was talking about earlier, the like mental exercise of service is like probably the hardest thing. And I think if you can master it, also is what makes you an incredible bartender or server, is like the mental exercise of working behind the bar or on the floor. Okay. Yeah.
To our palate cleanser now. Tell me about a time that spontaneity led to something unforgettable behind the bar.
I don't know. I think like thinking about ways like to use the tools you have access to make the experience extra special. I just thought of this one instance at Aviary. When a guest, it was a regular guest coming in who always gets truffle popcorn, and they were like, didn't have enough time to get truffle popcorn today or something. They were like in and out. And so we have like a bagger in the back to like make an Aviary bag of truffle popcorn. So we like bagged truffle popcorn for them and gave it to them. And like, just, I think thinking on your feet when like an experience, you might not be able to do something you would have normally done within the experience, like how to like pivot that's constantly happening.
Okay. On to our dessert. What does good taste mean to you?
Having a mind, like having a perspective, having a unique perspective. I think having good taste is knowing what you want to enjoy and how you want to enjoy it.
Okay. And then lastly, for our digestif, what is one lesson from your entire journey that you would leave with our listeners?
Make it fun. I mean, like if you're going to be in this industry, you should be having fun doing it and making sure everyone around you is also having fun doing it. The reason I got into like bars, working in bars and restaurants, is because I loved going to them, but I loved going to the bars where the staff was also enjoying it as much as I was. And so I think if you can create that experience, then you're always going to kill it.
Thank you so very much for joining me today, Katie.
For sure. Thank you for having me.
This has been fantastic.
Good.
Thank you.
Of course.
I'm Aidan Desourouez, and this has been All in Good Taste.